Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is SKTV coming to you live from Phoenix, Arizona. My name is Sekou Kene. Today we are going to be having what we call open mic, and it means that what's on your mind. Open mic, we do that from time to time to cover everything Liberia, everything that has to do with Liberia. So please yourself, get your questions ready, comments, and your thoughts about what is happening in our country, whether it's in the past, whether present. We want to encourage each and every one of you to go ahead and share the show. My colleagues will be joining me shortly. I'm pretty sure for Steve Boley, aka Moses. I'm not too sure about Teko. I'm pretty sure she's tired right now, but hopefully she will come on as well. But we want to encourage all of you. You know, when we say open mic, it means that there are a lot of things to cover. It means nothing off limit or nothing off the table. It means that you can talk about anything you want to talk about, as long as you remain respectful and within the confines of this platform, making sure that you don't cross the line, you don't make statements or comments that makes other people uncomfortable. So I want to make sure you understand that. But other than that, you can talk about anything you want to talk about. You want to talk about money, family. I'm talking about in a positive way. Money, family, politics, social, economic, whatever you want to talk about. So I want to encourage you. I want to take this time to say thank you to all of you for joining us once again. Yes, so Steve will be here. Go ahead and share the show so we too can get ready to share the show. All right? Share the show, folks. Everybody, share the show.
Oboni babono ikimajigi aladi porota
Macho.
So, first, I want to say thank you to all of you for sharing. For those of you who haven't shared it, please go ahead and do so. We want to say thank you to all of you. I saw a few comments from some of my friends, my good friends, Mohammed Enzadale. Good afternoon, sir. And Jimmy Eastman. Good afternoon. McDonald Nyakwe, Flomo Nyakwe. I want to say thank you to all of you for following. I want to encourage you to share the show if you haven't done so. Today, we are going to do open mic. And when it is open mic, it means that we have everything covered. Yes, like I said earlier, Steve will be joining us shortly. Perhaps Telco will also be joining us. I'm not too sure. But yes, we are here. So the conversation today was on your mind. For the most part, we opened the line earlier than we normally do. We open the line early. The reason is kind of simple because we want to make sure you participate, you take part, and, make the conversation interactive. That's why we open the line earlier than normal. So, but before we do that, I will tell you what's on my mind, and Steve will tell you what is on his mind. Telco as well. But I have a few things. I have tons of things on my mind, but few things that I think are very important that we need to look up to are two things. Basically, I have the Liberian government. The government of George Manewia is on my mind. And I will tell you why. A lot going on right now in our country. And for the re-election endeavors, they stop at nothing. They are doing and we do everything and anything to make sure that they got re-elected. But yet again, in as much as they are desperately want to be re-elected, but they are not doing anything to help themselves. They are doing nothing to help themselves. Every day, things got worse by the minute. There's no semblance of leadership. There's no leadership displayed by this government for the past 5 years. And to add insult to injury, the human rights violation is on the rampant. And that is very, 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 very important and telling. Very scary. The recent protest by the Liberian government to counter protest against students who are unhappy because of corrupt attitude of the government and government officials. Students that are unhappy because things are not going well for them, their family. Other women, market women and other women in the hinterland, it's not that they are happy. But some of those people, they can only respond to the government at the ballot box. But those who will have the courage to take the street, to communicate their anger, their dissatisfaction about the function of the government, then you are there giving permit to talks, holums, to go and counter protest against your own surveillance. And that counter protesting is not in the form of civil or regular protest, but to go and engage in violence, brutalizing people who are coming out to voice their concern to their government. You're supposed to be the government. You're supposed to provide peace and security for the people. But you are there creating more violence, making the country unstable. So when I say Liberian government is on my mind, I'm thinking as to who is really advising these guys. And for his part, President Weah, why is it that he's not learning anything? At least in the first 2-3 months, when he was engaged in demolishing his homes and building houses, we thought this guy was still new. Maybe, he will learn down the line. But 5 years later, it's not getting any better. It's even getting worse, unfortunately. Where in the world a state government will go and organize counter protest against your own citizen? Resulting into people getting injured. And the actors, the perpetrators of those heinous acts, are not inheriting You know exactly where they are. You know exactly who they are. But yet, doing nothing about it. As a matter of fact, we have learned that the government gave permit to those criminals who confronted the students, beating them up, to the extent where we saw the other guy helpless, badly injured. We even learned, even though we have not authenticated that information yet, we learned that this brother was injected with some substance that rendered him helpless. When you see him lying down, he already looked like a dead man. A government in the country, the government is supposed to be protecting the people. That government is creating criminals to go and destroy her own people. That's one important thing on my mind. Like I said, I have a lot of things on my mind, but you know, you can complain that this government is inept by all indication, that the president is yet to display any form of leadership in terms of promises that they made, in terms of their developmental agenda, in terms of providing safe drinking water for the people, providing stable electricity, providing security, investing in private sectors. You can complain about that. But to the extent where the government is organizing herself, organizing criminal, former inmates, people that were taken from prison, people that were in jail for killing other people by the past government, for the city mayor to go and free those people, organize them, recruit them, and train them as malicious in the country. That's telling. That's very scary. That's very, very scary. People that were in jail for armed robbery, for killing other people by the former government, and this city mayor went and freed those people for the sole purpose of using them as malicious criminals that will go and brutalize citizens in the country. That is telling. That's very, very scary. If that is not concerning to you, trust me, it concerns me a lot. It means a lot to me. It means that the safety and the well-being of our people is at risk under this government. I'm not sure how they are thinking about being re-elected. I don't know how it's going to happen. But again, it's going to be up to the Liberian people. It's going to be up to the Liberian people. But this is very, very, very scary. And when I heard that the government gave permit to those criminals calling themselves CDC COP, you hear the name, you got sick to the stomach. Very irresponsible bunch of criminals. It's like criminal leading criminals. High-class criminals are the one in the court suit. butchering our money, the country resources for themselves, their girlfriends. But then they have the low-class criminal that are eating their leftover, and they are ready to do anything their masters will tell them to do. And the so-called lawmakers are sitting there watching everything going on and doing nothing about it. So that is very, very important. This is something that if you don't be careful, this could spark a civil war. Because these guys, they've been training those people. And I told you guys on this platform before that we have credible information that both Malwa Molu, Jefferson Koji, they got their own malicious group that they put on payroll. They feed them. They have trained them. Sometimes you would think that we just come here, to talk because we just want to talk. But no. I think Steve is here. Let's see here. Will I bring Steve on? Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Kane. How are you?
Thank you for keeping me up late, and then you come in late. What kind of president is this? You keep me up late, then me I wake up before you. But anyway, welcome, Mr. President.
Oh, Mr. Kane, I'm tired of the name.
No. Sometimes I can talk about it. When you keep me all in the night, or doing your president thing, I will call you president the next morning.
I'm doing very well. Thank you. I've been following in the back end, and I'll follow away when you get done with your thoughts, and we can go from there.
All right. So, folks, again, if you haven't shared the show, please go ahead and share it. Because I'm saying what's on my mind. I just talk about the first one. We'll talk more about it. But I'm just telling you things that are on my mind. Second thing on my mind is this idea of LACC. The new LACC created by George Weah and his people. It is an extension of the criminal enterprise in the country. The so-called LACC, the Anti-Corruption Commission, was created to hold government officials accountable, to keep them in check, to make sure they do the right thing. And if any of them engages in corruption, they will hold them accountable, possibly send them for prosecution, and the rest of it. When Joe Weah took over the tenure position, most of the tenure position in the country, he removed them, thereby using stupid lawmakers, greedy lawmakers, who knows nothing but money, using it to remove tenure position so that the president can have free will to appoint or dismiss anybody as he wish. And the reason why some of those tenure positions are created is to ensure accountability, and credibility within the institution. So that if the presidency is 4 years or 6 years, person in a tenure position, the president term can expire and that person will still be there. It also means this person or those people in that position or in those positions, they will go ahead and execute their function without looking behind their shoulder. Not worry about being fired. Not worrying about being dismissed by the president. Because once you are appointed and confirmed by the Senate and you take your position, you are there until your tenure is over. George William went ahead and eliminated all those things. And we said alarm. We said this was an indication of a clear dictatorship. So he went ahead and removed the tenure position from most of those, area institution, so that he can have the will to do whatever he wants. And recently, this guy, Councillor, is his name Councillor Jala? What's his name, Steve? The current LACC boss. I forgot his name. This guy and his team, they suspected some corruption in some ministry and informed that these people need to be investigated, prosecuted, possibly prosecuted. But because the president, his ministers are all part of the corruption, when they went to for their retreat in Ganta, those that this guy indicted, those that are supposed to be investigated and prosecuted, they were the one cross-examining this man, telling him about his job, asking him about what he's doing, what he's not doing. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Rando. I think the person and the guy's name is Martin, Councillor Martin. Yes, I'll briefly listen to him. I don't know him that much. So, because this guy was on their back doing his job, they wanted to remove the man. Guess what they did? They said they are changing the law. Okay, granted, you're changing the law. If the law is passed by the lawmakers, it will be signed by the president. But people who are already there doing their job, what changing the law has to do with them? But because this guy was doing his job, that will incriminate George Weah and all his criminals, they went ahead and said they're going to remove everybody. They should reapply. Thinking that Liberian people are stupid, people will not just, understand the game being played. And another thing, there are a lot of things that they change in the new law. It is critically important that the lawmakers that we have now, majority of them have to go 2023. Hopefully, we will come up with a list of those bad lawmakers. We'll share it with you. We'll share with our family, friends, and our followers, so that when you are voting 2023, those names should be at the back of your mind, that they are the ones destroying our country. They are the ones that are passing all the funny laws just to enrich themselves and satisfy President Weah. So, Steve, those are the two things on my mind today. Basically, the lawlessness, aided and abetted by the Liberian government, wherein they created their own militias with no regards to the police. And the funny thing about this, because they created their own criminals, their own rebel group to attack and brutalize citizens, now they are shifting the blame on the police. I saw something that they say, oh no, we are investigating all the police that were there. Cut it off. That's just stupid. This has nothing to do with the police. This is something that got to do with Jefferson Koji, Nathaniel McGill, Memolba Molu. All three of these people get their own militias, their own death squad that are ready to kill. So that is very concerning, especially leading to election. And our politicians, lawmakers, so-called lawmakers, they're just sitting there watching all these things happening, Steve. Isn't that scary? Are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me now? At first, it was freezing from my end, and then it kicked me out. So, I think initially you were asking some kind of question about someone's, but I didn't understand who you were asking about.
Yeah. I got a name now. It's
Okay.
Councillor Martin.
Okay.
Councillor Martin, the guy who's the current chairman for the Anti-Corruption Commission. I don't know. It's a delaying, right?
No, I can hear you now. It's much better.
Okay.
You said Councillor Martin.
Yeah. So the question I asked you, it looks like you're going through some research. You can continue with that level. I can continue when you
No, go ahead. Go ahead with the question, please.
Okay.
I'm fully.
My question to you was: government that's supposed to be providing security for the people is the one now creating militias, going into prison, freeing criminals, murderers, and armed robbers, recruiting them into their militia, the respective militia groups for Jefferson Koji, for McGill, and for Molba Molu. And those are the ones that attacked the citizen the other day. And our lawmakers and politicians are saying they don't nothing, saying nothing about these things. Isn't that scary?
That is scary. First of all, I was a little when the president via Nathaniel McGill made a proclamation that they would free a certain amount of people from prison or from jail. Please don't get me wrong. It is his constitutional right. It is within the purview of the Constitution. He can do that. He can pardon people or whatever now. It is. But when you're doing issues of such magnitude where you were releasing a bunch of people at once.
No, 1 second, not to cut you off.
Please.
The freeing I'm talking about right now, that did not happen this year.
Right. And I'll come to that because I want to tie
Okay. Yeah. Just make sure you get up because Jefferson Koji went and freed people from prison 2 years ago. Criminal murderers, people who were in jail for armed robbery, people who killed. They were in jail by the former government. They were imprisoned by the former government. Jefferson Koji went and freed them and formed them as part of their militia group. Those are the people that I was referring to. I just want to make sure you get it, the question.
Yes, I want to tie that in because this move is not mutually exclusive.
Okay.
So this is coordinated. This is a coordinated effort. At first, it was. Let me go back to what I was saying first on a later basis because I will come back and tie them in. Even when you want to do that, there are criteria that should be laid about who would be, freed or pardoned or whatever it is. Again, there are criteria. There are crime levels or whatever it is. You don't just wake up and just say, I'll free 200 prisoners from all of the prisons. What are the qualifiers? Who are these people? What crime did they commit? How long they've been in jail? How long they've been in prison for? Let the public know. The public should know who these people are. Why, if it's an offender, it's somebody that created some kind of problem for some kind of family that you're freeing, and this person been in jail for 5, 10 years, they're coming by, they want to retaliate or whatever it is. You know what it means when you put somebody behind bar? Or some kind of lawyer went and pleaded the case, and you're freeing this person. These lawyers, all of these things need to be taken into consideration. These are factors that must be taken into consideration. I know some people run around and say, oh, the president get a right to do this. Yes, the president get a right to do that. Two wrongs don't make a right. You can't do it the wrong way. The public must be aware. We must know what's going on. We must know who these guys are. What were their crime and how did we get to this point to free them? Now, to tie this into the bigger picture, this has been one of the MOs or one of the operations of the CDC-led government. They would empower people who want to do wrong. What are they? Thugs, ex-rebels, convicted criminals, hardcore criminals who would do harm to people. They would free them, empower them. And this is not the first time this has happened. So I wasn't shocked when this came out. I'm only worried and concerned about the citizens and about what would happen. Mind you, I think it was within the same time that these guys were free, that these young men were attacked. And I have condemned the attack. I think it's wrong. First of all, there should be no counter-protest from a government. The CDC-led government is held liable for this. I stand by what I said the other day, and I'll say it today again. The fact that these guys ran with the name CDC-COP, and nobody from the CDC has come out to condemn this group to say, why you gotta go and counter-protest? Second of all, what kind of sitting government can do counter-protest? To tell you that these guys are not in the right mind. The leaders are not in the right mind. No government or sitting government starts a counter-protest. Counter-protesting for what? But again, Mr. Cannon, this is what we're faced with. And like you said, the house is on recess or break or whatever you want to call it. But what would they do? The other day I listened to just a snippet of what was said by Councillor Martin, accusing all three branches of government for conniving against the Liberian people in terms of corruption and other things. So what do you expect from the lawmakers? What do you expect them to do? What do you expect them to do? What I remember the famous incident with Senator Yomdi Kanga Lawrence spilling tea on Sir Joseph or coffee or whatever you want to call it. I don't condone violence in any way, shape, or form. I think it was wrong. But what prompted that incident was the fact that if you look at it, they brought in the security apparatus, they brought in the security agencies to discuss what is going on in the country. And guess what happened? Sir Joseph abruptly ended the session when people needed accountability. People needed accountability, So these things that we're seeing, I don't know what the lawmakers will do. Because for the most part, we are quite aware that most of the lawmakers, they are compromised. What would they say? How many of them have openly condemned what has happened, whether they're from the CDC side or not? But guess what? Something very interesting is happening while we are sitting. We last today here. Mayor Jonathan Koji 4 hours ago, congratulating Mo Ali and Wahini Amimoda for accepting the defeat. Look, these guys think we're stupid. They really think we're stupid. They really think since when last you took interest in opposition, reforming opposition's election or whatever it is? Since when last? When was the last time? These guys are speaking direct code to you. They're telling you what's up.
Yeah.
I was reading it this morning. I said, wow, this is quite interesting. But I want to bring up something that I found a little concerning. I listened to Yeke Koluba's interview.
Okay.
Yeke Koluba had a press conference or an interview this morning. Representative Yeke Koluba is a brother and a friend. I love his fight. I love his advocacy when it's void of insults and disrespect, whether to the president or anybody. Let me say this. I don't support anybody that insult other people. I don't.
Okay.
I think he made some good points. I think he should have stood with the issue and the point that he was making, as opposed to allowing the insult to overshadow the bigger message that he had. He has a big message. In his recording, quote unquote, they're preparing to train members of the opposition to counter or to protect the opposition, which I found quite interesting. And I think many people would say, well, they can't do that, they can't do that. Well, the president mandated the Liberian people to protect themselves. It came from the president. Anything that comes from the president, especially at that level, in that magnitude, should be taken seriously. Until people from his, and these are policy statements, until people from his cabinet or someone from the government can come and clarify that and rectify it, they're considered policy statement. You remember the famous incident with Joe Biden, when I think he got, I don't know, emotional or whatever it is, and he spoke about removing Putin? That was considered, even though he was not in the office of the presidency at that time making that proclamation or saying this or whatever now. But guess what happened? That was considered seriously by world leaders. Russia started to take serious precaution to protect the president, because these things become policies automatically when you say it. President of a country speaks and you speak loosely, people will take it seriously. So Yeke is calling that he even would have, Beret or whatever it is. Let me say this. If the CDC-led government is not careful, they would end their tenure faster than they're supposed to be, because the level of chaos, because to every action there is equal and opposite reaction. I've advised my brothers in the CDC, do your thing, such as do your work. When I say do your thing, I mean do your work. Stop acting like military people. Stop going after people. Stop preventing people from exercising their democratic right. It's a problem. People will revert. People will get mad, will get pissed off, and will act up. And to be quite honest, I'm not going to be against anybody that wants to stand to protect themselves. No, I'm not going to be against it. As a matter of fact, I would encourage the Liberian people to protect yourselves, because your government has failed you to protect yourself. And if you want to go and protest, if somebody want to stop you from going to protest, then position yourself in a place wherein you'll be able to protest. It is your right. Nobody is Liberian more than you. What the CDC-led government is doing, what are they doing it via CDC COP? What are they doing it via little groups? I don't know how you call them. I don't know how you call them. Independent ICOP, independent COP, or whatever you want to call them. All these little groups that they form. You're muted.
Yeah. I was going to say CDC COP.
Yes, all these little groups that you form, or these little cells that you form to quote unquote counter protest and protect the peace of the nation. Protest does not bring war in a country. What the government is doing brings war in a country. When CDC protested, it never brought war in the country. You stop this foolishness and stop telling people that, and we'll protect the peace of this country. Also, when it comes to other people protesting, do you know that protest is part of democracy? It is people's right. In America, people protest almost every day. We just pointed out on this platform. Maybe you are not reading the news, or you're not reading the newspapers, or you're not watching the news, or you're not following the news in other countries. People protest on a daily basis. We told you that members of the House of Representatives in the United States of America just got arrested for protesting against the ruling of the Supreme Court. We told you they joined the citizens to go and protest. So protest is part of the rights of the people. How can you prevent people from protesting and you create chaos and say, oh, it's going to create war, it's going to create this, it's going to create that? What sense does that make? Somebody can choose to protest on July 26th. It is their right. You can't tell them, oh, you can't protest on this day because we're inviting foreign dignitary. If you know you are inviting foreign dignitary, you should have behaved yourself like you are inviting foreign dignitaries. So you can't say somebody shouldn't protest because of the time or they shouldn't. That doesn't make any sense, Mr.
I mean, that's a good time to protest.
Exactly.
So the other people can know that things now okay.
Exactly. So I mean, Mr. Kane, you can strike a good point, and I think the opposition. Let me say this. I'll say this though. If anybody tries to take away other people's right, that's where it becomes a problem. The war that came to Liberia, it didn't come because people were protesting. Those are CDC talking points. Those are fear tactics. Those are destructive tactics they're using. No, it doesn't. So, okay, they who are counter-protesting, it will not bring war. Some protests can bring war. When you bring people to counter-protest, so the other people that come to counter-protest now, oh, you're not bringing war. They don't want preventing war. Yeah. So why, if members of the SUP had gun or had other things too, instead to do something out of the way, what would they have said? You put both parties in harm's way. Allow these people to protest. It is their right. To President George Weah and CDC, allow people to protest. It is their rights. The only problem I have with the people who are protesting is you need to get serious. You can't be protesting and be in conversations or be in negotiations.
With the same people they're protesting against.
You go to protest against. It doesn't make any sense. It defeats your protest. It defeats the agenda. You can't be in protest. If you want to go in conversation, drop the protest.
That's the one that killed the original COP.
And that's
the
where
backdoor negotiation and taking money from people that you're protesting against their behavior.
And you gotta have some elements of surprise in these protests. You do. You can't just be talking about everything that you're going to do.
Yeah.
Some of you don't even understand that these guys planted people in there that take away all of your plans and let them know ahead of time, so they count on you. So you got to be careful about who you discuss certain things or whatever it is. Some of these protests said, truly speaking, you announce it, baby, or don't even talk about it.
It can just be discussed among yourselves, and then just let it be spontaneous. It shouldn't be like
exactly.
Let me tell you, the public already suffering. You already know what's going on. Anybody here that people protesting against this government, they will join. They will join to the protest because they know they are still due to their suffering. And that's why this election is going to be critically important, Steve. People should ask themselves, if they want to remain in the condition they are in right now, if it's fine with them, fine. If they want change, then fine. It's up to them.
But I think Mr. Kane, it hasn't just only come to the issue of change. Let me be honest. The Liberian people want change. They've demonstrated it through all of the different elections we've had. What are that? Senatorial, representative, all these small elections. They've demonstrated it. The voices have been heard loud and clear. Whether it's by staying away and not turning up in numbers, or through voting for independent candidates. That's a clear demonstration that the Liberian people are tired. They want something different. They want something new. What I'm more concerned about is people preventing the voice of the Liberian people's voice, or the voices from being heard through the ballot box. That is what I'm more concerned about. Because if you start to institute issues like stopping people from voting, not stopping people from voting, coming down on protesters, these are prerequisites. You are laying the grounds for chaos and problems. When people start not to trust the process, people start to be worried about the process of either the process being corrupted or rigged or so forth. These are serious national concerns that the people can even trust you with their own votes, or they can trust you to do what is right. These are concerns. These are serious concerns, you know. And like I said, Representative Yeke Kolba made some serious points, especially when he talked about being removed from the chat room. I think that's concerning. That is his right to be in the chat room as a member of the House of Representatives. Now, if you have proof that he screenshot messages from the WhatsApp chat room and sent it out to members of the full state or news outlets or however you want to call them, then that's a different investigation. And you can go through the process, make it new, you know, but being selective is a little concerning. I'm not saying he did that or he didn't do it. I don't know the facts surrounding that, but I'm saying just from what was said, I would hope that the people in charge of that chat room will clear the air and clarify some things here, because that's being selective. I think also it's very important for people to, again, to understand, to the CDC-led government, you cannot be a sitting government and be counter-protesting. You cannot be a sitting government and be counter-protesting. No, you cannot. You cannot be a sitting government and be counter-protesting. It doesn't make any sense. It does not make any sense. It is not democratic. It shows dictatorial tendencies. Whether you like it or not, it does. And that needs to change. That needs to change. That needs to change. Michael, I'm very sorry. We clarify everything. We'll talk. I'm very, very sorry. I should have gotten with you. We'll clarify everything. Everything looks good, but we'll talk. We'll clarify it, Michael. We'll clarify it. I want to clarify something here really quick before I continue my thought here about Isaac Tucker. I like women who come in public and don't pay attention, don't listen. So I like to address them, whether they're grown men or women. I like to address them. I thought you said soup were used and they shouldn't have been there. Well, Isaac, you weren't listening. You probably have a different agenda, or you have selective listening. You should go back to what I said and listen to it very well. And I repeat myself, to the young people in Liberia, don't be used by any politician for any protest or whatever it is. If politicians encourage you, whether from the CDC side, and like I said, I did from the opposition side, soup side, or however you want to term it, any group, any politician that is behind the scene that want to use you to protest, let them come in front. And I gave the example. I said, when was the last time you saw Alexander Cummings' son in front of a protest? When was the last time you saw Joseph Yuma Boaka's son in front of a protest? And I said, the last time I saw Talia, you were in front of with the protesters when Yeke, Costa, and other people were there. Before the police could come in, they had already left. So you need to be paying more attention. Stop being your partisanship gear, whatever it is. Pay attention. When you come here, you pay attention. I know some of you can be very mad when we are criticizing or calling out your political parties or your political leader. That is your right. It doesn't mean you come here and distort the facts or the reality. Anything I say in public, I calculate it very well and I mean it. I don't stutter. That's why I don't take back what I say in public. I don't. So Mr. Kane, like I was saying, Yeke made some very good points, but I'm very concerned about the opposition being lackadaisical, about the approach and too much diplomacy with this government. I've said this over and over. The CDC-led government is a criminal government. They're not serious. They're not professionals. They don't understand professional language. They don't. They do not understand professional language. And I will say it again. If you want the CDC-led government to fall in line and be in check, you must take some radical and drastic actions against them. To every action, there is equal and opposite reaction. They can't be passing around brutalizing people there in government. They can't do that. Oh, they are, the international community, they want that one. When CDC ready to do that thing, they don't call international community. They don't call international community. When you make one or two moves, these guys will get serious. The CDC-led government will get serious. Look, they themselves will call for a press conference and behave. Any person around acting arrogant, they are acting arrogant. They're not everything people can talk in public. They're not everything people can talk in public. All this press release and we release, they won't. It's inconsequential. First of all, they call your press release people anyways. Let's start wasting your time with the press release or whatever it is. Let's start wasting your time with the press release.
So with the government counter-protesting, what do we have the police for? I thought the police were supposed to be there to guide and stabilize any kind of movement that will seem to be somehow violent. But what should the government create a condition that is tantamount to even sparking a civil war in the country? Why? Why should a government? So, and if they can't learn, if they cannot learn for 5 years, you think they're going to learn for the next 1 year before the election?
No, they're not going to. The CDC is not about learning. A part of most of the seditious or the leaders, most of them, not all of them, most of them, or some of them, the part of the brain that's supposed to learn is turned off. It's not there. So as evidenced by that, and I see that also in some members of the opposition, as evidenced by that, when you're talking seriously, instead of them focusing, they come with distraction. That's to tell you that they don't want to learn. It's like you're in school, you're learning, and they got a bully, they got a person who thinks that they're the entertainer of the class or the clown of the class. They don't want to learn. So everybody who's laughing at the behavior, if I were part of that group, I would tell people who lied, who are laughing at that person, to condemn that person and tell that person to stop doing that, because that distraction affects you, whether you like it or not, especially during the time of learning. What am I trying to say? In essence, the CDC-led government will not learn because they don't want change. They don't want to do what is right. They're a bunch of criminals and crooks, irresponsible people who have no professional experiences. You just have maybe one or two of them, and then one or two who are there who are professionals. They're either compromised or they just shut up and sucking up. So the rest of the crew, they're not serious people. That's why when I see people who are serious-minded, who are professional, say they're working for CDC-led government or they're supporting CDC, I start to question you. I really start to question you. What do you stand for? What is the purpose? Because these guys, they're not doing anything that's supposed to make serious-minded people to support them. No, they're not. And they don't want to do it. It's been 5 years. It has been 5 years. Imagine somebody who tells you, say because you criticize them, you are the enemy. Just imagine that. Or somebody, even when you give them recommendation, they take it as something personal. When you recommend something to them, they take it personal. They say, oh, that opposition people, man, oh, you've been criticizing all the time that now you want to recommend things, or you want to give recommendation. And when other people wrote them roadmaps, the way to do things, our opposition, we're not coming to listen to opposition around our government. So how do you run a government now? You criticize them, they get vexed. You get a recommendation, they get vexed, they don't follow it. So what can you do? So this is just a serious problem we have on our hands. But the opposition also, to be honest with you, Mr. Kane, the opposition also need to speak the CDC language. And Yeke speaks the language and understand the language. Yeke does.
Yeah, but sometimes talking is good, but action is better.
Exactly.
You can't just talk. Like I said, if I was in Liberia, probably in jail, or things would be done rightly. Because there are certain people, talking is not enough
Nope.
for them. And look at what happened to that boy. When that happened, now it goes beyond soup. That action should have kind of ignited some huge violence or civil disobedience.
Yep.
From all walks of life, not just soup people. All the opposition people. You take advantage of government mistakes and make it bigger so they themselves can be worried how to get themselves out of it. If government is creating counter protest, resulting into people getting hurt, almost to a point of death, that brother is helpless right now. The last time I checked, he was not even speaking. And one of the leaders, one of the organizers of that protest called me that they wanted to kill him. They were looking for him. There are special people that were looking for him with some weapons. They wanted to badly harm him or kill him. He was rushed because they had a car there parked or that were following. So he was rushed into the car, saying, you know what, you gotta leave, you gotta leave. They're here to directly harm you. If a government can organize malicious group against her own citizen, and the citizen, that's why, Steve, I don't know. The opposition in Liberia is very weak. Despite the infighting, despite the disagreement among themselves, but they're not serious. So it seems like those of us in the diaspora, we are more concerned about the behavior, the attitude of this government, of the president and the ministers and all the people in government. We are more concerned about them. And it hurts us more when they misbehave or when they're engaged in lawlessness. But the people on the ground, is it because they're afraid or because they are hungry, they don't have the stamina to fight for themselves? Or what is it, Steve? Why is it the people on the opposition, why they can't organize? Okay, you know what? Whatever happened right now, we got to put this on to make sure the people, the perpetrator of this act, are brought to justice. How come they're not doing that? The people on the ground, how come they are not somehow offended by these behaviors?
Well, I think it's the combination of a couple of things. And one of the first things I would point out is people want to play safe, which is not a bad thing to play safe. But the people who are responsible to play safe, they're not you. They're not you. Like we can say, or like I've heard many people say, prisoners can go to jail twice. You can cause trouble, you be in jail, and they will pull you in jail. You are in opposition. And you must be able to seize the moment. You must be able to seize the momentum. Listen, the country you are in, one of the things that brought CDC high to the pedestal when people did not think they would lead a country, CDC seized all of the necessary opportunities. In as much that the BB people were going to collect money behind closed doors when the stage of protest to calm them down, they seized all of the moments to create hope,
and they were ready to go to jail.
Yes, to create hope, to create momentum, to create zeal, and to also let the people know that they are with them, and point out, and they use that as a perfect opportunity to make the Ellen government, in other words, look bad. When small things happen in the country, they will use that opportunity to protest. The only unfortunate part is I'm seeing them today trying to clamp down on protesters because they know how protests can be. Let me say this to all of the opposition leaders. There is nothing wrong to see an opposition leader in front of a protest. There's nothing wrong with it. There is nothing wrong. It doesn't mean that you're not presidential. It doesn't mean you're not intelligent. It doesn't mean you're not wise. There's nothing wrong. Allowing the common people, let me not use the word of common people, allowing somebody else to steal that momentum is a problem for you as an opposition leader.
Yeah.
That is what I don't pay attention to. There is nothing wrong with you doing that. There's nothing wrong. This soup case, the Princess Kopo case, a lot of opportunity avenues. These are moments that can be seized.
And the three missing children.
Mr. Kane. Even as they go back, the auditors.
Yeah.
Especially
the auditors. That was supposed to be the straw that break the camel back. You know what? We will not rest until we get clear information as to what happened to these people. You get on the street. Let the people attack you. Let them arrest you. Let the people in the country know that you are standing up for them.
Mr. Kane, even as that said, be prepared. Be prepared too. Yeah. Because as they're coming.
Exactly. No, what I'm saying, let's say, for example, if I'm in Liberia right now, I want to get on the street, right? I'm not going to get there by myself, right? I'll have other people with me. I'll have other people ready to fight. Should we encounter any counter protest or any attack, we should be ready to fight back. If the government want it to be bloody, let it be bloody.
But who will be the loser?
If the government want the country to be unstable, let it be unstable.
Who will be the loser?
If the government want people to exchange rat on each other, let's do it. If that's what they want. If the government want us to go beyond that, exchange gunfire, if that's what they want to do, let's do it.
That's why I said, who will be the loser?
That's what I'm saying.
Who will be
the person in power?
Exactly. Because we are responsible to maintain the peace. And if you are creating an avenue for that to be lost, why can't great to Ellen that they will make the country ungovernable for her, quote unquote. Yeah. Or I'm paraphrasing him here. So you'll sit down there and you allow a bunch of unsophisticated hooligans to misbehave. Then you might not call me leader. Don't call me presidential material again.
Honestly speaking,
we'll get into the mud. We will drag it. When they move from that next time, they'll behave. They will know say what? I'll be saying that. You'll be reading press conference and press release. Yeah. Watching you'll be reading press release. Please.
Crazy, man.
No, let them be reading press releases. We are here, we're reading the press releases. You condemn the act. The other person can you condemn the act. The other person can you condemn the act. It's like, what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? We need to get, look, you are dealing with a bunch of radicals. You are dealing with a bunch of people that don't understand the issue. Speak the language to them and move on. You try that, it will come in place. I give typical example. When they started to misbehave during Senator Darius DeLong campaign, the only problem I have with Senator Darius DeLong was when he came by and said he take back the word. I was not going to take it back. I was not going to take it back. Take it back for what? Take what back? You threaten me, or you threaten my survivor, or the livelihood of the people or my family. And I'll send this caveat and this message always to whether that's CDC or whatever it is. I got family in Liberia. You go after my family, I will look for your family and go after your family too. I'm not going behind the hall to go discuss it. We're not in church. We're not in nothing. You hurt my family. I got my family in Liberia. My mother lives in Liberia. You can't after my mother. I know where your children are. Let's leave that other one. Let's leave that one. We're not going to the chair hall to discuss it. We are not. Me and we're not on that level. And I will speak as I'm supposed to speak. Anybody that attack my family or go after any of my family member, as long as it's confirmed, we will do the necessary research and find out who's behind it. Once we pick it up, forget it, man. Like Javatin Koji. Javatin Koji get children in Kenya and other places. And Nathaniel Maggie, that Samuel Tue. Right in Labro, we'll connect to and see what's up. We'll connect and see what's up. The child will say, Marcus sleep, second sleep. You do this thing 1 or 2 times, these guys will put themselves together. Who tell you that robot that you're dealing with? They're not robots. They're human beings. They get people that they love, that they care about too. They hurt other people and harm other people. And you get a bunch of funny people and passing around and making excuses and whatever. I'm supposed to go beyond poker, rabbi, and other funny children. I'm not going beyond it. The meat perpetrators, the people that are behind it, that the people are going after. When we move from that next time.
Yeah, but at the same time too, if poker, rabbi, and other people avail themselves or present themselves as people, as the messenger for the people, you deal with it, let them go and tell the story.
No, that small case, Mr. Okane.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The people put on the ground will deal with them. Let them go and tell the story. So next time, the other people that they will send, they will know exactly, what the other people went through.
Nobody should threaten
anybody's
exactly.
life.
Nobody should hurt anybody's life or hurt anybody's family because somebody's speaking out. Seriously? Because somebody's saying the truth? Because somebody's saying the truth? Or because somebody decided to protest? You go after somebody and harm their life or harm other people's life?
But, that's why, Steve, a lot of people are kind of skeptical whether or not the opposition will make any mark, in 2023. Because maybe the politics has changed. Maybe the way politics being played now is different from the politics of yesterday. Maybe. But you're not seeing that momentum on the side of the opposition. You're not seeing that readiness, that zeal to say, yes, we are ready to take this thing by all means possible. You're not seeing it. You're not seeing it. They look so cold. I don't know. It looks like there's no, the government, that's why in this particular case, I think Alexander Cummings being considered by many Liberians now as the main opposition. I'm saying this because from the time Boakai was seen working with Sharina Sifo, many people discounted him as opposition because he was working with the same government. And they were all fighting against the opposition leader, Alexander Cummings. So since that is the case, where are Cummings people in Liberia? I'm not talking about the ones on Facebook. I'm not talking about the ones in America, in Europe, and anywhere else. Where are Cummings supporters in Liberia? Where are ANC people then? Where are the so-called CPP's people then? Why are they not taking advantage of what's going on in Liberia right now? Are they supporters, by the way? And who are they? And where are they? Steve?
Well, that's a good question. The only thing I'd say to you, I'll say between you and
I want to be honest. I'm not seeing any opposition in Liberia, to be honest. That's why some unscrupulous elements take advantage of their weakness, lack of action, lack of leadership, I mean, you can't be a chicken and be opposition. You gotta be a lion. You gotta be strong. You gotta prepare. You gotta be ready and take advantage of any situation politically, so that you shine light on the government. Every time you shine light on government's mistakes, people put that at the back of their mind, especially leading to election. You have less than a year, or maybe 1 year to the election, but yet you're not visible. Government is making mistakes upon mistakes. Election will not happen in Washington, D.C. And Washington, D.C. and other people, they will not go to Liberia and go vote. They will not support you if they don't see real action going on in the country. So I'm kind of a little bit concerned if there are actually supporters on the ground. And if they are there, who are they and where are they?
Well, Mr. Kane, they are supporters, to be quite honest. But to be honest, people are looking for leadership. People are looking for people to lead them. And most Liberians, the way in which politics is done in Liberia, grassroots or members don't take the initiative or the leadership. In most cases, they look up to the leader for leadership. That's just how some people are programmed. And so when you see people holding back, they want to be reactive, or they want to get involved with something, or they want to do certain things, but they're holding back their reserve, it's because they've not gotten that green light from the leaders. Can you imagine? Imagine this. You know what it would mean? You know what it would mean for Boakai, Yombli, Cummins, Benana Ure, and other opposition members and leaders, which, let's be on the record here, they're even more than the people in the CDC, to say, you know what happened? Enough is enough. We're coming together. We're calling all our supporters. We're taking the streets for the next 3 days. The government needs to behave. We're not sleeping in our homes. All of our supporters must come out. The government must do what is right. Don't let anybody else to lead that protest. All of you agree on one thing and come together on one thing and march the streets. You think Kumi supporters will not come out? You think Boakai supporters will not come out? You think Yombli supporters will not come out? You think Benana Ure supporters will not come out? You think Yege supporters will not come out? You think Delon supporters will not? You think other people will not come out? And you understand? The people in Liberia, just from most of us, just from looking at the mindset, Mr. Kane, we're not programmed as other people. Just on Friday, I think you were part of the show. We're talking about the basic needs are not being met. The leaders that have been able to have their basic needs met, wherein people look up to them, they should be taking the initiative for these kind of things. They're not like Sri Lanka, where people, their basic needs have been met. They're focusing on the security and the safety. It's not like that in Liberia. So people look out for the basic need. And these political leaders or whatever it is, put together and say, listen, guys, we'll make sure water is available. We'll make sure whatever is needed is available that day. We'll provide the necessary resources. We're coming out. You're not even asking permission from these criminals or these crooks. You're not even asking permission from them. You take it as a surprise, as an element of surprise. You get on the radio, you get on air, and announce it to the world that this is what you are going to do. This government must do what is right by your people. How can you sit there and allow professionals, auditors, to be murdered, and they come back with all kinds of shenanigans? You allow your daughters, your children to be killed, like you said. And we who are in the diaspora, who are miles and miles away, that's why I said the other day, we love that country more than the people who are on ground, some of them. More than some of the people who are on ground, some of the leaders, whether they're political leaders or the people who want to get to power. We love that country more than them because these things ping us more than ping them. They ping us more than ping them.
But Steve, how do you expect Boakai, Ure, Delon, and Yombli to get on the street with Cummins when the same people are working with the same government to destroy commies. You think commies will be comfortable? Commies will trust any of these people to take such action.
You know, Mr. Kane.
I mean, what I'm trying to say, Steve, is that the people have forgotten the common good. Not what divides them, not what they disagree on, but what they have in common. And like they have no agenda. The only agenda most of them have is me first, not the country. If they were all thinking the same direction in terms of putting the country first, trust me, we don't have to tell them. The lack of trust, the lack of respect for each other, the greed somehow have overshadowed the love for country. So I'm to be honest with you, I'm very much concerned as to what's going to happen in 2023. I'm concerned, Steve.
Well, the prelude has been laid for what's going to happen. Let me just be honest with you. I think when it comes to the issue of people's life, children's life, the life of another human being, I don't see politics in it. That's how I see it. I think it's a common cause that unite all of us, that we can stand together. Political party issues, they can decide to play politics with it. The auditors that got killed because they didn't just die by themselves. That's a myth. They didn't die by themselves. The auditors that got killed, whether they were seditious, UPS, from the ANC, ALP, LP, or other political parties, those auditors come to do their job. They don't look at the work and say, oh, because they will not benefit CDC, so I will not do my work. Princess Cooper, regardless of which party she supported, we never know what could have become of her. This young man that got brutalized, we pray and hope he survives. But what if he doesn't survive? What happened? In a Liberian's child? What is a Liberian child or a Liberian young man? So these are common issues that keep people together. There are some things that must keep people together. Like we can say in Liberian, when people die, even if you get a problem with that person, you go there and sympathize. It's okay. When somebody gives birth, you go there and sympathize. These are traditional things because that human being business. Yeah. That is the reason you go there.
Yeah.
So you see. So these things should be factors that should unite them. But on the contrary, if somebody has an ulterior motive or somebody say, well, I'm conniving with the government or whatever it is, Mr. Kane, if this is what you want to do truly for your people to stay with them, you stay with them and you stay for them. You do. You were in the meeting yesterday. You saw how the meeting was heated. But at the end of the day, we have to do what is right for our people.
Yeah.
That's it. It's not about who I like, who I don't like. It's about what will benefit our people. That's how it's supposed to be. That's how it's supposed to be. The bottom line should be the interest of the people. And if anybody is not in line with the interest of the people, then you stay away from it or you get rid of them. You keep it moving. People that will be in the interest of the people, you stay with those people and you stay with the people. So I think this is a national call that they need to look into. All the time they're taking the ready press conference and press releases because basically when you read the CDC, when you read the ANC and the UP, una condemnation, other people una condemnation, they're saying the same thing basically. So then why you can say you got one thing that you agree on? Why you can come together to do one thing? To hold the government accountable? Why? If all got one thing that we agree on, We have our disagreements, but there's one thing that we agree on. Why can't we work on that one thing to ensure that we do what is right for the people? If that thing is you need to tell this government to stop, and all of you need to come together for that few days to protest, then you need to do that.
Somebody should walk. Somebody should
Christian, I'm telling you about the meeting.
No, I will tell her.
No, we're not talking about the meeting.
The meeting of the Liberian Association in Arizona. You know, Steve is the president. So we were at the meeting yesterday. That's what he's talking about. We're not going to tell you detail of the meeting, but that's the meeting he was referencing. Yeah. So Steve, you know, while we're talking, somebody, inboxed me about we are inciting violence against the.
That's fine.
Against the government. We sit in America here and inciting violence against the government. No, we are not. The government is creating the avenue, creating the condition wherein people can say, you know what, enough is enough.
Yeah.
Government supposed to be the one to remedy problems when you see them coming or happening. But government cannot be the orchestrator of problem. Government cannot be the one creating malicious criminals to go and attack her own people. Government is not supposed to be doing that. Government, we are talking about the weakness of the opposition here because those things that are happening in this government, about this government, if we had serious opposition in Liberia, but now the Liberian people will not be skeptical as to who's going to win the election. If we have serious opposition in Liberia, nobody will be thinking who's going to win the election. People will sit back and worry about the day of the election to bring change. So, the weakness of the opposition is the reason why, as we sit here, the government of CDC is still thinking about winning an election. Number one, you were elected because the people felt the last government of Ellen and Boakai was corrupt. You were elected to come and make things better. You were elected to come and change the life of the people. You say you were the change. I don't know, hope for change or change for hope, whatever it is. You didn't do that. You didn't do anything in that direction. But instead, you came in to enrich yourself. People are still there, patiently waiting for 2023 so they can come and send you a message. But yet, when they decide to voice their concern, and then you don't allow them to do that also, even though you failed them already, I think opposition are their own enemy. All the time they're spending right now creating noise among themselves. I think they should spend that time on the radio. I don't know if you have television in Liberia, but on television, on radio, on the street, to the Hatai, bar, and other gathering, pointing to these flaws and corruption in the government and the high level of insecurity in the country. I don't know if we can have election under this kind of condition. If we have election under this atmosphere, trust me, if CDC found out that they're not going to win the election, this is exactly the prelude of what they will do. They will be violent. They will target opposition leaders. They will target youth leaders. They will target everybody that is contributing to that change. And it could be dirty. It could go very, very ugly. So the opposition need to really stand strong right now to say, you know what? If you think you're crazy, in Liberia we say that not one woman can born crazy child. If you think you're stupid, we can be stupid too. If you think you got violent, we can have violent too. Because if they sit and do nothing, at the end of the day, these guys will never relinquish power peacefully. I'm telling you right now. And they are ready to go down in the mud. Trust me. If you think this thing is going to be about diplomacy, people who are responsible for diplomacy, let them have the diplomacy. But there must be people who are ready to fight back, to alarm, to create unstable conditions for the government if they are stupid. Create noise. Ain't that what they want? They attack you, attack them. They make mistake, highlight it. Talk about it on a daily basis. If it requires you going to the Capitol Hill to go protest, go there and protest. If the lawmaker pass stupid law that is not in the interest of the people, go there and protest. That's what they do in America here. The reason why you don't see most of it is because the government conduct themselves responsibly. So even if people go to protest, they don't shoot at them. They don't counter protest against them. They provide security for them. They will yell, they will talk, they will scream. They will allow them to do whatever they want to do. If you go out of the line, they arrest you, they send you home, they put you in jail for some time, and they will send you home. Protest is part of democracy. But to say you just sat there and do nothing and thinking that everything going to fall in line for you, these guys are never going to relinquish power. They will not let it go. When stupid people get used to power, they can't let it go. That's the only thing they have. And right now they feel entitled. So even if CDC loses the election, they're not going to leave power peacefully. So what happened? The same thing you're doing right now. They say, okay, CDC won. I mean, opposition won the election, but CDC say, they go to the cheat. They say the election. Guess what? They will get the same criminals on the street and start celebrating. If you say you want to get on the street to protest or to say, you know what, you don't want to win the election, they will brutalize you because they know that you were chicken out. They know that they will come and do anything to you. You will say nothing. You will do nothing because you are not strong enough. You don't have the backbone. You don't have the spine to stand against them. So this is the prelude of 2023 election. If CDC lose the election, which I think they will not allow it to go. Even they will cheat and depend on their criminals to get on the street to brutalize people. And because they know that you're not able to do anything. Let me tell you something. Somebody will say, CDC let election go, but it is different. Representative election, they know they stay in power. Senatorial election, they know they still have the executive. But when CDC notice that they are going to go out of power 100%, trust me, they will not let it go. They will create a condition that will make them to stay in power by hook, by crook.
Yeah, Mr. Kanem.
I
Let
think
me
we
say
open
to,
the line.
yeah, just before we open the line, let me say to the person who, or to the people who say, well, you're bringing about violence, you're trying to turn the people against the government of violence. Let me say, if that's what you think, that's fine. Everybody get a way they can think. That's fine. That is fine. The people are already angry for the fact that you're fooling around. Nobody needs to tell them to be violent. I stand by what I say here today. I will stand by it any day. There is nothing wrong I have said here. I repeat myself. The opposition need to hold the government accountable. They need to stop all these funny press releases. It's a waste of time. Get to actions. Get to actions. This government is a ruthless and criminal government. They don't like easy. They do not like easy. They do not like easy. And so, because they don't like easy, they want noise, then you're beating yo-yo.
Yeah.
You're beating yo-yo. They will beat, that didn't get everything to lose. That didn't get everything to lose. Most of them are not professionals. When they lose this presidency, most of them going back to become beggar because they're never coming back to power again. So they don't got everything to protect and everything to lose. So if you know that you have everything to protect, then you govern in a way that you have everything to protect. But if you don't govern in a way that you have everything to protect, you got people dying when you talk so, they put the other foolish talk down. They bring the other foolish people to come and say foolishness. Who is a certain government that carry people or push people to go and do counter protests? You not see that before? You not see that before? All of you sitting and tying your hair and you're acting there and say this is a church. Politics are not church. They're not religion. They're not religion. The CDC-led government, before they could become government, they protested days after days. Days after days, they protested. They walked around with winning honor clothes and they disrespected people to pass around. So people can protest. Then somebody turning the government against other people, whatever it is. That's your business. If you say it like that, that's fine. That's your business. Nobody cares about that. We care about the lives of our people. That's what we care about. We don't care about your power and the other one, our other one. This is not about power. This is not about somebody coming to remove government. This is about saying the truth. Let CDC get serious about the lives of our people. Simple. You get serious about the lives of our people, no need to protest. But protest is a right of the people, and the people must protest. And nobody should stay against them. Simple.
And that's what they survive on throughout. Since the creation of CDC, Steve, that's what they used to do on a daily basis. Joey was sitting in Ghana there and instruct Molba Molu, Jefferson Koji, and Akalago to go on the street and protest. They will protest, they will hold the government feet to fight every single thing. And guess what? When Ellen called him, they say, hey, okay, you send something, let me send to the children. But what happened? Ellen was stay afraid, and Ellen government was under pressure to do some things right, because what they know, if they make mistake, these boys will take advantage of that mistake and make them to look bad. Yes. When you see that before even Ellen left power, when you see everybody agree that Ellen government was corrupt, it was because the CDC took advantage of every mistake of Ellen government, and they shine light on all their mistakes. So they're kind of stuck in people's mind that this government is corrupt. We need change. But you are not doing that. In Liberia today, everybody knows that this government is incompetent. They know that this government, the president is inept. But you are not doing enough for their ugly behavior to stick in people's mind on a daily basis. You're not doing enough. And if they themselves even hurting themselves, the opposition not doing, like you have always said, Steve, when the CDC can defeat CDC, you always say that. Because opposition, they are not strong enough. If this was CDC in power, the death of the auditors. The 3 bodies that were found at night, and all the other barbarity happening in the country, mysterious death of different people, police and PSU, I don't know, ASU, whatever they call them, shooting people on the street. People will take advantage of that, and the whole world will hear it. One thing that I know, though, Steve, we got a first caller here. I'm going to take the call.
Yes, please.
Unless you have something to say. But CDC, government, I got this information for you, just so you know. That video that you send your people to go and brutalize citizens, students, that video have made it to Washington, D.C. They have made it to the international community. That how brutal and violent the CDC government is. How CDC government is engaging in human rights violations on a daily basis. The information, the killing of those 3 auditors is also being recorded. I'm just giving you clear information. So any act of violence in Liberia, if the opposition ready to stand up against these guys, trust me, it will only solidify information they already have. It will solidify information that they already have about the government, that they are brutal, that they are corrupt. So I'll take the first caller here. I think this is Sekou Dugle. Hello?
Yeah, Mr. Kane, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Welcome to SKTV.
This is a very interesting topic. And I just want to tell you guys, thank you for bringing this issue of violence into our country, Mama Liberia. Let me say something. I heard you guys say, somebody was saying y'all want to instigate violence into Liberia. You're not instigating violence, just saying the facts. And if Prince Johnson can go say a certain representative, a certain senators or county in Liberia can say the outcome of the 2023 election will be violent. That is, when the result comes, CDC will want to hijack the result or say they don't want the winner, and they already not doing anything. So the opposition and everybody will say that lie. They could not do anything. What they can win, what they're going to win election. So we already know they're not going to win. Because if you're doing something like in a classroom, if you're making grade, you'll see your grade sheet. You'll know that you're making grade in the school. But if you're not making anything in the school, the teacher will go give you false grade. That's not possible unless you go pay teachers some money, and that will be the problem. You're not learning anything, or you're going for you get so record in your grade sheet. What I'm trying to say is, Prince Johnson and well-seasoned politicians who brought war into our country sit on the TV or how you call it, a journalist interviewing and give this statement. Nobody saying threatening want to instigate violence. He said this thing openly in Monrovia. Nobody asked him. Government didn't call him. NSA security not call between Justin Mary and say, Lord, what you saying so? It can bring war to our country. You don't need to say that. You already got some stigma. You already got sanction on you. You can't travel anywhere to go in the United States or whatever in the world. You can't go. And you say they're going to think about Liberia. How our election outcome going to be. They should have cautioned our young men for that. Not caution him, but they want to caution your SKTV. That's not possible. If they cannot caution our men like we are saying that kind of word. And then let me come back to the boy who maltreated in front of the U.S. Embassy. That is just an example to tell us that if CDC lost the election, they're going to do the same thing.
Yeah.
If they lost the election, they're going to do the same thing. That what is just showing us. So what the opposition, if I was running as president of Liberia, I would take the street the next day and start protests. Let me see that they can't fire me. But I'm going to run 2029. I'm not worried about it. I'm waiting for all the other politicians that are lying around here that they want to do something for Liberia. They're not ready. Because you want to do something, even the whole you put in jail. But I said they went to jail for so many times. They break for, but she still become president. Our opposition is scary. They're like some kind of, I don't know, animal that always run over somebody. But they are scary. They don't want to go to jail. You see that boy could be president. They want to beat like that. that how they can be president, that how they can put people in jail and they can become president. But our opposition, they want to sit down in their glass building and talk. And I'm warning CDC people, you cannot be in a glass building and throw stone. If you try it, that glass building is going to bust it. So CDC already know that they're not going to know what the says here is enough for them. Don't they get back their Satoka, 2023, they go say that it's enough. They can't go to a year. They can't compare themselves with Ellen. I'm working with Ellen Johnson at the government. I have a special letter from her to me, thanking me for my work in Liberia. But let me tell you, Mr. Cannon, Ellen Johnson government, their people were protesting every day with cats in the street. That how they intimidate Ellen government. But how many of us in the opposition are ready to do the same thing to them? The opposition is scary. Some of them holding brows. Some of them go behind the door to talk to the president behind the scene. So we were you. Don't worry. We'll talk to our opposition people to get together to drop everything against you. That what they're doing behind the door. So some of the opposition fighting the movement, man. Some of the opposition supporting the man. So this is why making the whole thing hard for us. And they're not stopping. They will keep suffering in our country because we got a lot of land people, got other people in the country in America that have good plans to go to Liberia. And they're not in opposition that's scared around there. Some of the people coming up here, some of them be planning a long time. 20 years, we get planning how to change Liberia. So when we're ready, we're not going to be scared of bullets. Fire your bullet, fire your tear gas. We'll move on you. The same way other people there in South Africa, Sri Lanka. What if people are afraid in our country? Somebody keeping your taxpayer money sitting out on there, millions of dollars being stolen by people, nobody's holding them. And then people not in their good hospital, and then people scared to talk. People scared to protest. That the higher will take president say, we are scary. We're not scary, make a big president. I beg you, have the president, Mr. Cannon.
Thank you very much. Thank you. You have a caller? Okay. So
no, I don't have a caller. But Mr. Cannon, to the point that this caller just made, let me say this. Whether that person is from CDC or those people are from CDC or from the opposition, whatever, let me say this to them. You all go somewhere else to censor people talk. Go somewhere else. What is said on this platform? If you think this is pushing people against the government, again, that's fine. That is fine. I think, and I believe, in my view, that to every action there is equal and opposite reaction. You are provoking problems. And the opposition must stand against you on this. That is why they are opposition. Opposition not your friend. Opposition not your friend. That only in Liberia see you're doing opposition, but anywhere in you can get small thing to opposition to pretend like the opposition. In other serious minded country, yes, opposition and government can come together to do something called bipartisan or whatever it is. They can come together that will benefit the people. But you won't get opposition people to connive with you to do wrong to the people. And people should sit around and not say nothing. People should sit around and not talk nothing. Everybody should succumb and everybody should just be, and it will destabilize the peace of the country. Let it destabilize the peace of the country. Nothing wrong with it.
So you're 100% right. While we await calls, let me just put in this information here. Steve, we have said this before, but I will repeat it again. When you see a lot of criminals and corrupt-minded people take advantage of Liberian people because they're seeing the void. They have seen the leadership vacuum. So anybody can take advantage of it, and you automatically be the leader.
Yep.
Today's politics and yesterday politics are different. So let's take this call here. Caller, what is your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Dwight Port calling from Texas.
How you doing, my brother?
Great, how are you doing? Who's this, Steve?
This is Sekou. Welcome.
You have me on now?
Yeah, you're live.
Oh, okay, great. Thanks. Thanks for having me on. Like I said earlier, long-time occasional viewer, first-time caller. Thanks for taking my call. Great show. Look, initially I was going to come and be apolitical, and then I noticed that the call kind of drifted. the show kind of drifted to more of politics. But I think most of my rebuttal to what you guys have been saying is there on the chat. But look, I'm going to piggyback off of what Steve had mentioned as far as the Liberians in the diaspora are the ones who really need the change. But then I have to ask the question, how much of a change do we really want? Are we just looking for change through the ballot box? Or we're looking for change in a holistic way? Because let's just put into perspective here, we have EULA that have been in existence for over 42 years. What impact or imprint has EULA had in Liberia? None. I'll just bring to front and center right now. We just had the July 26 celebrations pretty much in almost 24 states that Liberians live in. What did we do differently? We are stuck to the same playbook. We gather in halls and park and eat our fried chicken and pepper chicken and collar, and that's it. And we do it the same thing next year. Which one of these days, Steve, we would dive away from the politics for a minute and come to find out what really holds Liberian back from doing more to invest in Liberia, in the business sector, in the private sector, into school, clinic, roads. I know people always come and say, oh, that's the government's role. Yeah, we agreed. That's the government's position. But I would just caveat to this. This generation of Liberians are the most wealthiest since the founding of that country. Our forefathers before us and our parents, your parents, and pretty much everyone that's watching, parents lived and took care of us on $150 a month or even less and sent many of us to school. This generation of Liberian, what our people made in a year's time, 5 Liberians make that in the diaspora in a day's time. So why are we doing more? Forget about the government. This thing gonna go is ingrained in people. The government before Ellen did it, the government before we did it, and it's gonna continue. But until we come to that point of changing the minds of our people through what we can do collectively, I'm not talking about we sending $200 on Christmas or July 26th. Look, we got the power. I don't know. You guys have better statistics than I do. I write about this all the time. I talk about it all the time. People kick it back in the corner and say, oh, we don't trust people. But you guys have better statistics than I do. I'm sure we have about 800,000 Liberians in the diaspora of working age. Why don't we do collective telethons to raise money and put our footprint on the ground to carry out projects that would change the mind of our people, that they don't just have to wait for government positions? How many people does the government hire every year? I mean, when look, Ellie was there, she hired 55,000 UP folks. Weah is there, he hired maybe 70% of people in government are from CDC. I don't care which other government goes there, they're going to fire everybody from the CDC and bring their people in, whether it's ANC or UP. So we have to change this thing. 70,000 people cannot change Liberia from the government jobs. We have to have other avenues.
All right. Hold on one second. Steve, want to say something?
Hold on, let me say something to you. First of all, thank you so much for calling. Dwight, right? You said Dwight Port, right?
Yeah, Dwight Port. Dwight Port, yeah.
Yeah, Dwight, thank you for your suggestion or recommendation. But here is something I want to add and ask you a quick question before we take a leave of you. If you take this responsibility because people are in the diaspora and put it on them, that the people should go back home and do this and do that, what is the purpose of having a government? Why should we have a government with resources and monies that are allocated? So the country that we're in, if Americans that are out of this country were told to be contributing and helping the homeless people here, what would the government and the state authority be doing? So why should we have a government in place? It has the resources. It's not like no money there. Resources are there to allocate money. But these same government officials are riding big cars, living luxuriously, and you are telling me to go and push my 8 hours, come back, I got my own bills and my other thing to do, but yet I still take my money and go say, oh, I'm carrying project to go invest, they won't invest. What sense does that make? You tell me, how does that work? Please help me.
Steve, yeah, I understand that part. I understand your frustration, and that pretty much that's about 80% of Liberians in the diaspora. That's the kickback point. What is the government there for? Yeah, we're 175 years old country. What has the government done? Nothing. Look at the images that come out of Liberia. Look at the images. Do you think government would change that? Look, I grew up on Mama Point, okay? I went home a couple of years ago. I stood up on the rock. I tried to find my home that I grew up in. Everybody that pretty much know my aunt was the midwife of Mama Point. The home that I grew up in, I could not even find it. Do you think government will change that? Or gripe and moan and say, hey, government should do this. I'm not a pro-government person.
All right, Mr. Port, let me ask you a question before I let you go. Any country, including Liberia, will you be comfortable to take your hard-earned money to go invest or to engage in any developmental agenda when the safety of the people or yourself is at risk? Will you do that? Will you be comfortable doing that?
I'm doing that right now.
Or you are investing? You are investing in Liberia. In Liberia, you're investing in Liberia, knowing fully well that your safety is at risk. But you're still doing it, correct?
Yeah, I'm doing it.
Okay.
I am doing it. And
okay.
I'm not going to see what I'm doing, but time will come.
Okay, so that means
why can't you say what you're doing? You apparently.
No, listen now. The reason why you're afraid to say what you're doing because of the same safety reason. Other than that,
it's not the safety. No, it's not the safety.
Okay. So you believe? Okay, listen now. No, hold on. You hold on 1 second. Now I said when you feel your safety is at risk, perhaps the way you're speaking and the manner in which you are speaking, your safety may not be at risk because you are saying not just one government. All the government in the past and present have done nothing. So that's the kind of talking point that this government will like. So people like you, life may not be at risk. Your investment may not be at risk. But people who speak truth to power, their investment in their life, everything about them is a risk. But you are lucky.
Let me come in.
You are lucky. You are not at risk because of the way you're speaking.
I just want to go ahead. I hope you give me the time.
I will give you the time. So what I'm trying to say is that as long as you remain sympathetic and sharing blame to all the government in the past and present that they have done nothing, that means this government could not be held responsible because other government did nothing.
Exactly.
And that kind of mindset, those are the kind of talking points that this government we like to hear. And if you are doing that, trust me, you can do whatever you were doing in Liberia. None of your assets or yourself will be put at risk because these are the same people that are creating the situation, the condition that people are in right now. But if you're talking on their behalf or talking something that will be sympathetic to them, definitely you will not be at risk. I just want to add that. But you go ahead.
Okay, now, I hope you give me the time here because if you follow what I put on there, you will know where I'm coming from. Everyone that pretty much on your chat on your panel right now who's viewing know me for what I stood for. I've criticized George Weah from day one when I got into Liberian politics back in 2014 when I went and saw what's happening under Elling's government. I criticized Weah his bid for the presidency, for the senatorial bid. I criticized him throughout the elections of 2016 throughout 2017. I still criticize him. So I'm not afraid to put I will criticize him when he does the wrong. I will praise him when he does the right. And that's the nature of person I am. But for you to say that I don't feel threatened, do you know how many Sidicians have insulted me? You don't even know. Do you know what Sidician wrote about me when I went back home in 2016? They insulted me. They cursed me out. They labeled me. I was in Liberia when my wife called me and asked me what was happening because her friends had called her to tell her that I was being insulted by Sidicians. And you, like I said, you and Steve don't know me. You don't know my views. So for you to say I'm afraid to say what I'm doing, most of the people know what I'm doing. My friends on Facebook have contributed to the school that we're building in a village in Liberia. So
okay. One last question for you. No, I just want to give you the question. Then you can end up, you can answer that question in your statement. So what can you and I, living in the diaspora, what can we do to improve the security of our people?
What we can do, and thank you for asking that question. And people who follow me always see my post. But look, we have to go after the 18 years and under and change their mindset. We have to change their mindset.
I said, I want to know the how. What can we do? Not the mindset. Not the mindset. I'm telling you now, the government is supposed to be responsible to provide security for the people. So I'm asking you now. So you're talking about you are shifting the blame or maybe the responsibility to the people. I'm asking you now. What can you and I do? What can you and I do now to improve the life?
Talking about security, Steve. I was talking about what we've been in the
yeah, but our concern here is about security. People being brutally murdered, gruesomely murdered. People are not allowed to move freely. Children being raped on a daily basis, and government is doing nothing to make sure the right things are done. So I'm asking you now, what can you and I do to change or to improve the security of our people?
Hold on a second. If you go on my page, there's a video I did.
No, forget about your post. You're telling me right now, the people are listening.
I highlighted everything. This is why I would just go to the point. Number one, I condemned what happened. And I even mentioned to the president that he needs to execute an executive order to stop this militancy. We are our schoolmates. We protested on a door. Now, people don't even know that correlation. That's why I reminded him. He, Diba, Joe, and we all protested on it. We were at Wells Heston. When the public school students took to the street, when we were in our glass building windows looking outside when William V.S. Tubman student took to the street and was heading our way, we looked at each other, we got to join them. And we protested. And I reminded him on the video. So I'm not a coward. And this is the problem with Liberia. It is sycophants and people who have phobic tendencies and they will not speak up. And they we will support something or another guy who's out because we want the likes and the comments, or other guy do it and we come here, we ready to jump on the bridge. And I don't want to do well,
your line is very bad now. We're not hearing everything.
I'm sorry. When it comes to the politics of things and the security of things, it's the government's responsibility. But here we are. Because we got kids who are looking up to the big brothers that are running around and thinking Muya, Amanda, Awetu, their minds aren't changing.
All right. Okay.
So we have to educate these kids and let them know.
Yeah, I want to say thank you very much for this contribution. Yeah. But I just want to say one last thing to you. Some of the things you said make sense. But when we are discussing peace and security of our people, we believe that's solely the responsibility of the government to provide a safety and comfortable environment for the people, right? But then in the middle of that discussion, when you come in and start to talk about what we need to do as people to change the mindset, it's gonna distract us from the conversation. It kind of presented you or as if you are trying to say that the government, whatever we are saying about the government, is not correct. We're the one that's supposed to do that as people. So that's why the conversation went a little longer, because the understanding is that your points are correct. We can do more ourselves to change the mindset of our people, including what we are doing right now. Okay.
Right.
But
Right.
when it comes to providing security for the people, it is a
Right.
government responsibility. And when people are being murdered in the manner they've been, people being
Yeah,
brutalized
right.
for speaking their mind, we are talking about that. I don't think it will be the right time to come and discuss, because we can even have a total whole show about your opinion right
And
now.
I
It
think
makes a lot
that's
of
where
sense.
you misunderstood me. I came from the point of how we move the country forward. I didn't come from the security point.
Yeah, but the country will not move forward without having
No,
security.
no. And let me just correct you for the record to your viewers. I no way in point stated that we are the ones to provide security. That would be like an oxymoron. Okay, I would not say that. It's in the Constitution. Why would I come and say that we are the ones to provide security for the people in Liberia? No, we supposed to move freely. So I hope people that are listening or who listening and felt that what I see, but did not say. I started from the perspective of us changing and raising money to help into other projects. That's why I said projects. I didn't say security. So point of correction. I hope.
Yeah. I mean, I understood that. That's why I came to clarify the two. And I just feel like the other thing that you brought, in as much as they are important, but I think it's not under the right discussion right now, because that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about what we can do. We can have a different show and talk about all of those things, what we need to do as Liberians.
Yeah,
but
I hope I have the opportunity to come.
You will always have the opportunity. Even if you want to come on the show as a guest, just contact Steve. We can bring you on. It doesn't matter.
I appreciate that.
Anytime you want to come on the show, but
and I apologize for it for the discussion going as long as it did, because I know other people are waiting.
It's okay. It's okay. No problem. You have a good one.
We'll talk again. All right, goodbye.
So, Steve, you see, so
I have a caller though.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, let me put the caller been on for a while. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from, please?
Yeah, hello. I'm calling from Minnesota.
Yeah, what's your name, please?
My name is Isaac Tucker.
Isaac Tucker.
SKTV.
Yes, Isaac, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I appreciate the show today, and the topic is very interesting. One thing I want to add is that what you and Sekou are saying, each time there is a spark, the opposition put water on it. It doesn't take money. It doesn't take money or anything to start a demonstration. It just takes a spark. Okay? If you look at demonstration, even in Liberia, April 14th, okay, the riot now, okay, was a spark.
Right.
Even the Arab Spring started from that guy burning himself. They took over the whole Middle East. From one man burning himself, everybody combined. So it doesn't take real money. But it's not difficult. You have many sparks like you guys listed. But those who are supposed to take the advantage of those sparks and put gasoline on it, they retreat. And as you said, issue statement of condemnation.
Right.
Okay. That statement of condemnation are considered as water. That's why I say pouring water on the spot.
Right.
Instead of getting in the streets there. But another thing is, as Sekou said, the leaders, Sekou said, the leaders should take the role.
Yep.
Most people don't take it. Let me just get a temporary example. When they had the 7 Minute Council and there was supposed to be disarmament, there was no disarmament. And we went and we had a symposium and we called for the dissolution of that interim government. Okay? And believe you me, I think if anybody can recall, there was a demonstration that Isaac Musyoka got burned, the foreign minister got burned. There was a spark. Everyone was so confused that they couldn't put down the riot until around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They arrested my Secretary General and others. This is no boast. But I'm just trying to say that we didn't even expect it to be like that. But just got sparked. People came from all over. Yeah. But the target was, we'll deal with those responsible. That's why stores were not looted or not at the count. They only went to those politicians who were holding up the disarmament process. So I just want to say that it only takes a spark. It don't take money. It don't take anything else. Thank you very much.
Quick question: is this the Azit talker that can be giving me hard time in the live feed? Azit talker,
Yeah,
you right?
the man that we interviewed the other day.
That's a good point.
The Azit talker man, the high man, what they making?
I led a demonstration in Azit Musaka. Ask anybody
No,
no.
let me hear a question.
But now I said the Azit talker man, the high man. I know Azit talker. I know the name well. I thought a different Azit talker.
No, you my man. You my man, Moses.
My
So
man.
I got on my back.
My man, I get your number. I get your number. Now you in trouble with me. They as a talker man. They particular high as a talker man. Let me thank you so much. Yes.
They made a historian. But Steve, like we were talking about Liberia, let me just give you a little bit of my experience when it comes to standing up to the bully and stupid government. I used to work for the transport union in Liberia. A lot of people that know me. Some people still even call me chief driver. You know, Steve, when the ECOMO, when the Ome was in Liberia, Ome built a lot of checkpoints to make sure that people can be moving around with arms and ammunitions. When things got stabilized, now we have a government in power, just like government. Most of those checkpoints, there were two noticeable checkpoints that people knew for the most, three actually. One in Vatan, one at Stephen Tower Estate by the bridge there, and another one at Vamuma. That was called Vamuma checkpoint. So, when Charles Taylor became president, and when they tried to downsize the peacekeepers, they were replaced by Liberian police. And in this case, with SOD, instead of traffic police, those checkpoints were by SOD. So they removed the one in Vamuma and they removed some other, but the Stephen Tower Estate one remained. So guess what happened? Every bus and taxi that will come at that checkpoint, these guys, Chancellor SOD. You know, Yeke Kolba is a former SOD too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And even though I was in the transportation, but I used to be friendly with a lot of police guys because transportation, transport people and police people will always, clash. And the guy who used to be the chief of, deputy chief of SOD, the chief of SOD, when Sagwali were there, when Chachesco Johnson became, all those guys, they were my friends. Not on a good note, because we used to clash a lot when they tried to harass drivers. So guess what happened, Steve? This checkpoint at Stephen Tower Estate was the checkpoint that every driver that will come, the boss will go park, the car boy will come and put money and give money to the people. Those that we used to live in Monrovia will tell you. Every single boss that will come. And then when the bus driver, when they have first trip, if you can't get the money, guess what they do? They will they have the right thing in their hand. They will tell the bus driver to calm down. There's some dirty water right there at the Stephen Tower Estate, right there. They will tell you to roll in the water, make you dirty. Or they will park your bus there. Why you have the passenger there in it, citizen in it, traveling to Red Light or from Red Light, going to the city. So drivers got fed up with this thing. I can't say I because it was a collective effort, but I called for the meeting on Johnson Street, at Johnson Street parking station there. We called for a meeting. They call all the drivers. We say enough is enough. Let's stop these things. We are the one moving the country around. Bus, taxi, everybody. On this Monday, if you go to that checkpoint, they stop you, stop your car. Don't give them money. Any car that will come, you just park your car there. Don't go anywhere. Steve, Monday morning, This was communicated to all the drivers and all the chief drivers to every parking station. So that Monday morning, I went to jail for days, but I know exactly it was worthy. That Monday morning, Steve, the first bus, they stopped. They just went and parked. Cowboy didn't come down from the car. Bring the money, nobody came. The next bus came. Third bus, fourth bus. Imagine Monday morning, the way people can be, a lot of people running from on Somalia Drive now to go to the city, and other people coming from the city, coming to Raleigh. When they saw more than 100 buses, Steve, the park, and imagine passengers from going opposite direction in that area. SOD to try to be violent. This one of the SOD guy was very famous because a lot of passengers, a lot of driver there and cowboy, they were even setting for him. His ear got caught in that violence because he was one of those people that would really should beat the drivers. So what happened, Steve? The passenger get angry, people get angry, people going to work, other women going to the market. Imagine if you know Monrovia, those that know Monrovia very well. People in the morning coming from the railway, going to the city, Waterside, and other part to go to work. And people that live in Douala and other in Tantu that work at railway, that was the major, route. So for 2 hours, before you look, Steve, that place was like the market ground. A lot of problems, a lot of fighting. It was crazy. The drivers, the cowboys, they clash with the SOD. And guess what happened? The president attention, the police director attention was called. The president, Chancellor himself, attention was called. But when that happened, those guys, they said they should arrest all the people who are the leaders. AB5 is in England right now. Abraham Sano, myself, Emma Soa, we all got arrested and taken to jail. Guess what happened? They took out to the Justice Ministry for that time. TC Go was the Deputy Minister for Justice. That's the first time I met this guy, Darius Dillon. We used to work in the office there. So long matter short, because I don't want to go into detail of all of that, but long matter short, but because we staged that protest, not only that they remove all the SOD from the chaplains, they brought in the traffic police. That's one thing. And mandated all of them. Mandated all of them that they should not take $1 from any driver or cowboy. When you come, it's for what they used to do now. The traffic police, when you come, they make sure they look inside the car, everything is good, they tell you pass. That was like HO problem. Now 1 year, now 2 years. But the day we said enough was enough, it was enough. Somebody say I'm an old radical. No, I'm not. I'm a straightforward person. If I mean, like I told you earlier today, Steve, if I was in Liberia right now, either things would be right or I'll be in jail. I'm not scared. But I know what I can do. That is the void that we have in Liberia. Leadership. People having the courage, the audacity to say no to government, to look in the face of the people with gun and tell them no. You know how I got to know Yeke? Yeke used to be the commander for Center Street Depot when I used to be chief driver for all the drivers. Yeke people, they used to arrest driver them, they take their car, they go park there over there. I fought with them many, many times. One guy who was the EO, the executive officer, the deputy commander to Yeke, he called him Fuma. He was my good friend. We fought before we became friends. Same thing with Yeke. We fought a lot. Yeke will be like, the same way Yeke is talking, that's how he used to talk. You stupid. I will lock you up. When I lock you, President, tell us I can't get you out. I will do this. You know me, eh? You talk all that nonsense. That's the bullshit you're talking. We don't care. When I go there to free a driver, you got to free the driver. So, to tell you, when somebody is a bully or when somebody harasses you, somebody intimidates you, they are only afraid of people who can stand up to them. So, if our people in Liberia, so-called opposition, if they can stand up, what makes Moluba Molu famous? What makes Jefferson Koji famous? What makes Akala Gray famous? Because they stood up to the government for the right or wrong reason, but they did. They show that they have spine. They show that they were passionate about what they were doing. Not a bunch of chickens, bunch of spineless people. Scary chicken. You want to be president, you want to be senator, you want to be this, you want to be that, but you scared. People who are bullies, somebody just rightly put it. Bullies are cowards. And they are afraid of bullying more than anybody. Let me tell you something. Somebody who is a bully, they only fear somebody who can stand up against them. So I will stop there so far, Steve. People got to step for you. You got to. These things, okay, if these things did not happen, you know, when I come here and say in public, these are clear and public records. I never talked about it before. But we did it. We did it. Similarly, Charles Taylor, one of Charles Taylor's former commander, a woman called Teresa Veskinder, they came and they imposed her on the transport union. Every money the transport union will bring in on a weekly basis, they will collect everything and go divide among themselves at the transport ministry and the labor ministry. And we'll get ready. Guess what happened? We staged a big protest right in front of the labor ministry. People were afraid to talk. I remember that day, Radio Veritas, Kiss FM, DC 101, they came there. They asked people, because of fear of SOD, a lot of people were afraid to talk. And we mustered the courage to talk on behalf of our people. I'm not afraid to go to jail. Let me tell you the truth. I'm not scared. You want to put me in jail, you want to beat me about. If we're passionate about something, I stand for it. So we have those records. So all the picking that you're coming because of Facebook now, they say they are radical. Oh, you know, they are the revolutionary, this and that. They're nothing. Oh, we are pay our due. I went to jail. This and that. We don't talk about things that we have done. This what I just mentioned, just a minute aspect of what we have done for our people in country. So, Steve, I will stop there for now. Maybe another day we'll talk about, some of the experiences we have had. But I mentioned this just to encourage people who calling themselves now opposition, who are in leadership, especially the young ones, the younger ones that are there. You call yourself youth this, youth that, but you don't have the courage to stand up against bullies. Let me tell you something. That protest that Costa ran away and Dillon ran away and left Yeke there. If they were going to stand up against the government, but they ran away because they already had something, agree with the government. Other than that, I'm just saying it, but it's true.
They
ran away because there were communication between they and the government. So when they know that the government people are about to move on the protester, because the protester, they didn't know what was going on. They were there cooking, thinking that they're going to be there all night because that's what they were told. But when they were told that, okay, we are about to move there, they put in, they're not going to go. We are about to come. And their leaders knew that they were coming. Yeke was not aware. Yeke was called, oh, your people are already telling you, if you don't go, Yeke said, I'm not going. I'm not going to leave these people here. But Costa and Dillon, they chicken out. Because they knew what was coming. If those protesters were going to stand up in the face of the tear gas, hot water, and start throwing stone back to these guys, trust me, that could be the downfall of this government. If you want to do something, do it. You don't want to do it, don't do it. But you can't get it both ways. Thank you, Steve.
Well, thank you, Mr. Kane. We want to say thanks to our listeners and our viewers. I don't have any caller with nothing going on. We've gone 2 hours, 25 minutes. Thank you and thank you. Sekou is in charge as of tomorrow to be back on Monday or on Thursday. So if you don't see, you don't give me a hard time. I'll be back on Friday. Saturday and Sunday we'll be back on as well. We will post our announcements, mental health and wellness. We're changing the time. Instead of we're going to start off with 10 p.m. Eastern time now, which will be 7-hour time here. And it will be 9 Midwestern time.
So, Steve, let me ask you. This government that we have now, this government we have now, in Chancellor government, which government was fearful? Which government was stronger? Which government was more radical and brutal?
Obviously, the Taylor-led government, because you never had the proliferation of social media or the focus on the nation to unveil some of the killings and so forth. So obviously, the Taylor-led government, mind you, too, they had just come from war, they're rebel, and so they were very brutal, very, very brutal. They would kill people and create problems, and most of the times it was not even in the media. Okay. Most people didn't talk about it.
So if we can stand up against ills in our government, remember I told you something before?
Yes, and I'm not going to say here.
I was present when some people were beaten and put in the boot of a trunk.
Yes.
I was present when I saw a police officer slapping a minister, deputy minister, and put him in the trunk under Chancellor government. So those were real dictatorial government, but yet people stood up for what is right. What about these people who are a bunch of scary chicken? Jowia doing the June 6th, Jowia went all the way. He was about to run away. While the negotiation were going on, they were not sure of anything. Jowia almost ran away. That's a fact.
So President wanted to give it?
Yeah. Jowia wanted to run away, and he didn't know exactly how far he went. And they know I know. So, even though they brought in mercenaries, that just in case, they're going to take him out, so that for the safety of him and his family. So these people are a bunch of scary people. They're all money eaters, but they don't have the spine. Let me tell you something. One of the person that is a real rebel and he's not scared is McGill. McGill a real rebel. I'm gonna tell you the truth. McGill a rebel, and McGill got rebel name with him. He got a death squad with him. All they wanted, according to themselves, generals. Omage assembled and the former rebels, the likes of Benjamin Yetenwo, Papa Nomo, Stupid Powell, they call him General Powell, all those other guys, they are with him. McGill is the rebel, and I'm not accusing him of the one behind killing all those people, but they haven't done enough to exonerate themselves. That's all I can say so far.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kane. There are some things we're not talking in public. We're talking in the back.
I know. If you're getting some messages, but I will talk.
My people, I see you. I beg you. Leave something and let go. Leave it. I beg you.
Well,
Please
we'll leave it for today. We'll leave it for today. But we'll be hopefully we'll be here tomorrow.
Thank you, Mr. Kane, and I'll do my best to.
We'll talk more. It's very, very important.
Luti ke baba Korea ay ramina la demaya le labi Luti ke baba Korea ba ay ramina la demaya le labi Kwani saya ramita la na te diara nubi hallelujah gigi ledi Saya ramita la na te diara nubi hallelujah gigi ledi Dunia ni aligia mate atunya loro awakabade ya buya sina Imae kono ya gikela yiri bolonnedi yiri temo gigi didioro sobo ya gikela ulabaledi ula temo gigi difa moniti ya gikela wolodennedi deye mo gigi ledi dunia ni haligia mata tunyandoro anyi silamba de na dunia Timiri isorotu mama inani fali mabubula Timiri moya tu mama irakili lagi mademe naye Timiri koroya tu mama ibade bandu di madula fikanangina ikanangina ila bango koni jomi la balo banayale mo mademe na Koba sabali dunyaro Wole bade ya da sallale Koba sabali dunyaro Wole bade ya da tununale Mosoko Nima nyumba soro ye bade ya da sallale Nafuluko Nima kenkilila ye bade ya da tununale Duko kuma Naluma ke konya adala bankele mauba ke bedi warangini awusumangi kabade ya bunya silebi Imaela dia kabulo diako kwani beni lo dia le bade yaro Sidi akabono diako Koni beni lo dia le bade yaro Bade yato no kabo Bade yakadi Kasilam bade yanina illa anye bade ya buya sine tonya e bade ya liro kafo anye bade ya buya ala yere bade ya le fe kabade ya buya sine moya e bade ya liro tonya anye bade ya buya mo bade bali ma demena kuma na monifia e sababu le kone kele ni foranya na jonye kele lagine kalula karifala dutuna kele sangara kalula karifala kuma ni kuna kalula karifala tununa kugoma ni bantama yedengani ni kama siga fadi maduzula de suma worokande love mbedi la londo singani ke modenke yazana kuruma denke Kamara muso sabakele Gelike mo kantefa Mbalu kantefa Ferema kantefa Ila kele Tunya fola lukara mo ni papa di kele Kuguma ni bantamba Nyani ni kama siga Fadima dozula de sumauro Ibe makiba Bila silalima Kwani mana mo kana ben silado Kwani na sumauro Ila papa ila Setana ba momi lo kujukela ibade mala Setana wulila yarabila bade nyale tunya bade nyala fisa bade mo bade baligi ma demenna Ali fenti bolo ibade baligi ma demenna